All right, let's get right into it. Think about this. Inside your head, right now, you've got the most sophisticated decision-making team on the entire planet. But even the absolute best teams can fumble when the pressure's on. So today, we're going to break down the neuroscience behind your brain's executive team and figure out what really separates a winning performance from a total choke.
I mean, it's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? You've practiced for hours, you're totally prepared, the big moment finally arrives, and boom, your performance just tanks. What happened? Well, it's almost never a lack of skill. It's actually a breakdown in communication, right inside your brain's command center. And the key to cracking this whole thing open lies with two specific brain regions that have to work together perfectly. The best way to think about it is like a high-stakes business partnership. You've got the big picture CEO, the one setting the strategy. And then you have the detail-oriented risk manager, the one who's constantly scanning for problems with that strategy. When those two are in sync, your performance is just smooth, effortless. But when they're not talking, oh boy, things can go south and fast. So let's meet the first member of this crucial team.
Okay, our first stop is the brain's C-suite. We are talking about the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Yeah, that's a mouthful, so we'll just call it the DLPFC. This is your brain's master strategist. It's the part that's always thinking ahead, the one holding the master plan.
So the DLPFC is basically your internal CEO. It's not just about reacting to things as they happen. No, it's about holding a complex goal in your mind, your working memory, and then figuring out the abstract rules and all the little steps you need to take to actually get there. It's that voice in your head that says, okay, here's the game plan.
And this CEO is seriously multi-talented. It manages your mental scratch pad, that's your working memory. It pulls out the right problem-solving tool for the job. And what's really crucial, as the neuroscience shows, is its ability to help you override your gut instincts or old habits when you need a more thoughtful, goal-oriented action instead.
So how do we actually know all this? Well, neuroscientists came up with this really clever task to isolate exactly what the DLPFC does. They gave monkeys a challenge where just memorizing stuff wasn't going to cut it. They had to apply a flexible, abstract rule based on what happened on the last successful try. This is just a brilliant way to see the DLPFC in action. The monkeys had to remember what just happened while also applying this abstract rule, either repeat what worked or switch it up. And when researchers looked at their brains, they saw that neurons in the DLPFC were firing specifically for these abstract strategies. Not for the cue itself or the physical action, it was pure high-level planning. Okay, so if the DLPFC is the CEO setting this grand strategy, who's making sure that plan is actually going to work? That brings us to our second key player, the anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC. This is your brain's quality control department. You can think of the ACC as your internal early warning system. While the DLPFC is laser-focused on the goal, the ACC is busy scanning for any potential problems. It's constantly asking, wait, is this plan really working? Are we getting conflicting signals here? What's the chance we're about to mess this up?
Now, this is where it gets really cool. The ACC isn't just reactive. Research has shown that its activity actually ramps up before a mistake even happens, especially in tricky situations where errors are more likely. It learns from your past experiences to signal, hey, watch out. It's an incredibly sophisticated form of self-monitoring.
So its main job is to spot conflict, like when you're about to say the wrong word or press the wrong button. It then sends up a red flag, signaling for more control to prevent that mistake. It's this dynamic system that's constantly updating its own predictions to help you adjust your behavior on the fly. Pretty amazing. And that brings us right back to where we started. We've met the strategist and the conflict monitor. So how does their partnership explain why we sometimes choke under pressure? Well, it all comes down to one thing: communication. Just look at this breakdown. On one side, you've got the DLPFC, which is all about go. It sets the goal, it picks the plan, it keeps you focused. On the other side, you've got the ACC, which is the whoa. It monitors for trouble and flags when that brilliant plan might be about to fail. Peak performance is really just a seamless dance between these two. So let's define choking from a brain perspective. It's that crazy moment when the more you want to succeed, the worse you actually perform. And thanks to fMRI, scientists can actually peer inside the brain during these high-pressure moments to see exactly where the system breaks down. And here's the big reveal from the research.
It's not that one part of the brain is working harder or less hard. The secret sauce is something called functional connectivity. Basically, how well different parts of the brain are talking to each other. Specifically, it's about the communication line between the strategist, the DLF-PFC, and the parts of the brain that actually execute the movement.
This is so important. When the pressure is on, your brain's CEO, the DLPFC, needs to strengthen its connection to the factory floor, your motor cortex, to make sure the plan is carried out perfectly. Research found that people who keep their cool under pressure are able to actually ramp up this communication. But those who choke, they fail to strengthen that link. Their CEO is yelling instructions, but the message just isn't getting through.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? Choking isn't a failure of your skill, it's a failure of implementation. It's a momentary breakdown in your brain's executive network, a failure of the strategist to effectively guide the action when it counts the most.
Now, understanding this whole partnership isn't just some fascinating neuroscience trivia. It has huge, real-world implications for how we should think about performance, practice, and what it really means to be mentally resilient.
So the main takeaway here is pretty clear. A brilliant plan from your DLPFC is totally useless if it can't be executed when the heat is on. True peak performance relies on the entire executive team. The strategist defining the goal, the monitor clearing out any potential conflicts, and of course, those strong communication lines that turn the plan into reality.
You know, this gives us a whole new way to look at performance. It helps explain why some people just seem to thrive under pressure while others crumble. It shows that mental toughness isn't some vague idea. It has a clear, measurable signature in the brain. And maybe the most important part, it suggests that we can train our executive control, our mental game, just as hard as we train our physical skills.
So as you go through your day, just think about that executive team you have working in your head. The strategist setting the course, the risk manager scanning the horizon. The ultimate question for every single one of us in any high-stakes moment is just how well is that team really communicating?